It's not the Giannis domino, but a domino falls nonetheless. Julius Randle gets traded to the Brooklyn Nets in a three-teamer where Brooklyn gets Julius Randle and the 28th pick in this draft. The Timberwolves get the 33rd pick in this draft, and the Bulls get Nick Claxton. So, three-teamer, I'm going to go to each team and break down my thoughts on the trade for them, what it looks like for the future, and just whether or not it was a good trade or not. So, let's get into it. This is my raw reaction. The trade broke a few minutes ago. I'm recording this video, so I'm just going to go through my initial thoughts on this trade with you guys as we go through it. So let's start off with the Timberwolves as they gave up the biggest player in this trade, Julius Randle. Now, this obviously is a salary dump trade. If you look at this from a vacuum perspective and you just look at what the Timberwolves gave up versus what they got, it's obviously a bad trade. You give up an all-star, two-time All-NBA player for a second-round pick. Obviously, it's not equal value, but the Timberwolves wanted to make this trade because it frees up money. The fact that now they're off the Julius Randle money for the next 2 to 3 years gives them the flexibility to go after Ayo Dosunmu and retain him, bring back Bones Highland, bring back players like that. Specifically Ayo Dosunmu, who in the playoffs proved that he is a very, very good player with a very promising future. Dropping 40 in the playoffs is no joke. And he basically outplayed Julius Randle, who was supposed to be the second best player on that team. So, if I'm the Timberwolves, it just makes sense that you wanted to do a salary dump. But my question is, was Randle's value really that low? Julius Randle went for a salary dump. I mean, I get it. He had a very disappointing playoff run, but was there no team that thought they could use a versatile wing, like, that could play small ball five, that could rebound pretty well, could shoot the ball decently? Like, bro, imagine him on the Spurs. Like, obviously, I don't know what they'd give up, but dude, Randle on the Spurs would be like not. Dude, what? Wait, yeah, why? Why didn't they just do Fox for Randle? I mean, Fox, they're looking to move on from Fox, even though allegedly they're saying, like, we're committed to Fox. Harper gonna come off the bench. I would say it makes sense for the Spurs to move on from Fox. It makes sense for the Timberwolves to move on from Randle. They literally provide exactly what each team lacks. The Spurs lacking wing presence, post presence outside of Wemby, versus the Spurs, the Timberwolves lacking a point guard that can orchestrate the offense, and Fox is that exactly. They're both very, very good NBA players whose just value is very low after two bad playoff runs. I don't know. I digress. But for Timberwolves, like, damn, bro, salary dump? It makes sense. It's a good move, but, like, that's the best you could have done. You couldn't use a Giannis. That clearly signals the Giannis sweepstakes and the Kawhi sweepstakes in the Timberwolves era is done, because he was probably, the money matcher there. But now, I guess you're now, under the first apron, 50 mil under the first apron. You have Gobert on an expiring, I think, right? Or I don't know if he has a player option. But you get Ayo Dosunmu back. Basically, you gave up Julius Randle to pick up Ayo Dosunmu. I'd say it's a worthwhile trade. Ayo Dosunmu, I think, helps that team more than Julius Randle does. I don't think he's the better player, but I think the Timberwolves need Ayo more than they need Julius Randle, especially since they kind of have already like a shot-making 4/5 that comes off their bench, who they could move into the starting lineup in Naz Reid. So I don't really know how much they need a player like Julius Randle, but I think for the Timberwolves, it's a very interesting move. I mean, you still get that second-round pick. If they hit on it, you could get a long-term developmental point guard project or a guard project, or maybe you go for a future center because Gobert is getting old and his money's wrapping up. And on the topic of Gobert, there was that rumor that Gobert for Derek White one-to-one swap was picking up steam. But I guess now, like, why would you do that? Your front court would just be terrible if you do that. You lose out on Gobert, and now Naz Reid's the literal only playable front court player you have. So I don't think that's happening now. And I guess the Timberwolves, it looks like they're going into a full retool year. It looks like Dante's hurt, Ant-Man, Jaden McDaniels, and Ayo Dosunmu, they're going to have to play. I mean, they're still going to be a playoff team, in my opinion, but I don't think this is a year anyone's going to expect them to go in with a championship expectation. But you never know what happens. This is the NBA, it's parity era. But for me, at least, it signals that this is a retool year, and they're going to try to get their finances right and make a move for Ant that actually gives him a legitimate co-star rather than kind of fringe guys that they've tried to pair with Ant, except for Cat. That was still I know it was for cap flexibility, but Cat was like a very, very good fit. That team was so nice, bro. That 2024 Timberwolves team. But I digress. Nonetheless, decent trade for the Timberwolves. I'd say like a B plus. Sure, is not the best you could have gotten for Randle value wise, but a salary dump is still a salary dump. His money was gonna like create so many problems for them in the future, and he has what 2 more years guaranteed, and then a player option. So yeah, good move for the future of the Timberwolves. Gives them more flexibility to build around Ant. Good job, Minnesota. Now let's talk about Brooklyn. For Brooklyn, you get Julius Randle, who's still a very, very talented NBA player. He'll help you win games in the regular season. Obviously, I don't think Brooklyn has any concerns about like postseason play in the sense that like we don't care if you can perform in the playoffs or not. Like get us there, like hopefully, or like get us to the play-in at least is what I'm pretty sure they're thinking, because I don't think they own their own first-round pick next year. I think they are kind of looking at their neighbor, the Knicks, who just won a championship, and they're like, yo, bro, like we kind of got to pick up some steam here. And, you know, they've had a lot of failed experiments with the KD experiment, the Paul Pierce experiment, and it feels like Brooklyn is finally always in a position like this. They do a failed experiment with the Paul Pierce KG thing. They don't have their picks, so they kind of become this like home for like bad contracts and give us picks type thing. So I actually don't truly, I don't know what the future holds for Brooklyn. The benefit to Brooklyn is you're still a big market that players want to still play in. Like even though you're not New York Knicks, you're still, you know, around the area, and you're still a big market. But in terms of getting Julius Randle, I guess he helps you with the new lottery odds. You know, you need to win games. You need to have better records because tanking isn't going to get you the number one pick like years prior did. But I think like he'll help you win games. But I don't know what you do with him in the long term. Like we said earlier, he has 2 years guaranteed and then a player option on top of that. So Brooklyn, like many other teams, big market teams like the Clippers, you know, these teams that are kind of mid-tier to low-tier right now have been very vocal about being 2027 players in the free agency. And if I'm Brooklyn, what am I doing with this Julius Randle contract? Because, let's be honest, he's taking that player option. Like, nobody's going to offer him more than $35 million a year at his age at that time, unless he comes out and wins 2 MVPs back-to-back, which, let's be honest, is not happening. So, it's very interesting because Brooklyn kind of shoeholes themselves into you're gridlocked. You can't make a move in 2027. I guess now would be the time to use whatever cap you have left. Go after maybe Austin Reeves or Jalen Duren and kind of have this team of what? Reeves, Jaeger Demon, MPJ, Randall, Clowney / Daron Sharp. Plus like whoever you draft, plus like Nolan Traore, all the young guys you drafted in that first draft class. I guess, is that team going to make a major noise in the postseason? No. Can they get to the postseason? I think so. But, I mean, yeah, this is kind of like the last year for Brooklyn to really get it right, because after this, your destiny's not in your own hands. So, for Brooklyn, I think this is a decent trade. I think it's like a C+. It's at the end of the day, it's a salary dump, but it's a salary dump that comes with a lot more benefits, because most salary dumps are players that are not, you know, at the level of Julius Randle. They're like past their prime. I think Julius Randle is literally entering his prime, so he's going to be a good player for them. I just don't know what the long-term outlook on this pickup was. For the Bulls, I mean, I know King of the Fourth Quarter is probably happy. You basically just got Nick Claxton, who's at least worth a first-round pick for free. Basically you gave up literally nothing. And you got Nick Claxton, who is a premium, in my opinion, a premium center. He's definitely a player that teams definitely want. I know the Lakers would love Nick Claxton. I know a team like the Hawks could use a Nick Claxton. I know the Hornets could use a Nick Claxton. So teams are definitely going to be interested in Nick Claxton. I don't know what the Bulls are going to do with him. What, y'all going to be the 9th seed now? Instead of the 10th seed? Congrats. Obviously this is more of a give us whatever you want. We'll take whatever you need. And I think Nick Claxton is somebody the Bulls can kind of build his value up even more, and at the deadline maybe this season ship him out for a pick or two or a young player, and this is a win-win for the Bulls. Like A plus for the Bulls. I think the Bulls walked out the real winner of this trade. They didn't really give up much. They're not in a position where salary is necessarily a problem. They don't have a guy who they want to commit to long term. And honestly, I think, I know I made the joke about the 9 seed thing. Yo, they could be a top 6 seed. Like, that team is low-key kind of nice, bro. Like, what? You got Giddey. You got, who's their 2 right now? Who would their 2 be? Are they going to run like Trey Jones, Giddey? Who would their 3 be? Matas, Caleb Wilson, Nick Claxton. Like, that's not a bad team in the East. Like, I could see them being a play-in team or a team that makes the playoffs. But, yeah, I mean, for the Bulls, A+. Timberwolves, I say like a C to a B. Nets, C to a B as well. This trade just low-key, like, came out of nowhere. I mean, we knew Julius Randle was probably going to get moved this offseason. I didn't think it would be for a salary dump. But nonetheless, makes sense. It's a sensible trade. But, I don't know, it's just kind of left-fielded for me.